Hey guys, thanks for joining me on this journey here today. On this episode, I have here Nikki. Nikki, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So you're the host, co-host of Happy Not Crappy and Rebel Revolution. I gotta ask, how did that
Yeah.
idea came to be?
Well, Happy Not Crappy is a podcast with my good friend Mickey, and we sort of we had been playing this tabletop role-playing game called Savage Worlds, and we were taking a short break from that. And I think that we both just missed each other a lot and just missed having conversations. And a few months before that, we had been doing wine and cheese nights where we would every month we would hop on the internet and just we try to get like a matching bottle of wine and then whatever flavor of cheese, and we'd have these great conversations while getting drunk and eating cheese. Very simple. And so we knew we had this wonderful energy together, this chemistry that you can't really fake. And we knew that we liked each other and really enjoyed spending time together. So we started brainstorming ways to get to do that. And Mickey was like, "Well, what if we did a podcast? We were co-writing a podcast, and I believe it was going to be fiction at that time because that's what I do anyway." And we talked about it for a while, and then we decided that it might be more fun. And I don't remember who said it, like, "Oh, we should do good news," but we knew we wanted to do something that brought joy to people. And so somebody came up with a good news podcast. And then I went and I talked to my child and I said, "Honey, I need names. What do you think?" And this is the one she chose. She chose Happy Not Crappy. She thought it was a really cool name. I'm sorry. She thought it was a really cool name, and I can't say I disagree. It's gotten us this far, almost a year. So that's what got me into Happy Not Crappy. Now, I actually had a podcast on my own before Happy Not Crappy ever existed. Before Happy Not Crappy was even a thought. I was doing it was adult themed, and we'll just leave it
Ooh,
at that.
okay.
And I ended up deciding, I did 2 seasons of that, and then I decided that it was not what, like, I wanted to be able to put my name out there.
Mhm.
I want people to say Nikki Haffner, or to get excited. I like that. And with this adult themed podcast, I didn't feel like I could, so I was writing all of it under a pseudonym and performing it under a pseudonym.
Okay.
And I was just like, I don't want that right now. I want to build up my career and my name and my reputation. And I've got so much going on, so I walked away from that one. And I think that that's part of why Happy Not Crappy was so easy to start, is because I was already excited about podcasting. I just didn't have a project yet.
That's so interesting. And that's fascinating that you said you already had something beforehand. Um, like
Uh,
going from like I'm gonna just say adult theme, so I'm not gonna get too into it, and to something that's like more uplifting, or as I've like texted you, it's like, just hanging with friends, which I love that part.
yes,
So it's like you got something.
that's definitely the goal of Happy Not Crappy. We want to feel like your friends. We want to feel like our tagline is a fun and interactive look at the odd, absurd, and uplifting news of the week. That's what it is: fun and interactive. We want you to send us messages on Twitter. We want you to email us. We want Kyle, who has started making appearances on the show now and again. As he listens every week, he messages a group chat and tells us what he thinks of everything we did and everything we said. And it's really funny because it's like those live um the live the well yeah the live tweets that you do when you watch a movie or whatever, only he's doing it to our show.
That's funny. And you
It's pretty
mentioned
great.
wine and cheese earlier in one of your episodes. I think it was, I forgot who. It was either you or Mickey mentioning something about cheese and hip hop. That threw me off. How do you guys get this stuff?
Well, we look all over the internet. I have a few favorite sites, things like Audi, Good News Network, Positive.news, a few others where you go specifically to see good or strange news. And then Mickey tends to stick to the more popular sites, things like HuffPost, New York Times, WAPO, all of those. And we sort of spend our week looking for those types of stories. And because we're already looking for it, you know how the Google algorithms work. They're going to spit that shit back out at you. So we've been doing it for so long now that I think that it's become part of our algorithm. And so that stuff is already just it's being put in front of my face every day. And then if I haven't seen the story that grabbed me that week, then I go and I look on usually just a few hours before we record to go find the right story for that podcast.
That's smart. It's like having Google work for you and give you the ideas for the next episode.
Absolutely.
So I love Happy Not Crappy, but let's talk about Rebel Rev. How did that one come to be?
Rebel Revolution is the brainchild of my friend Allison Gomez. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California. And if you want to work on yourself and work to become a badass, she is the person to go to. She is such a good therapist. And she and I have been looking at the state of the world and wanting to make change. And we've been wanting to make change in any way we see fit. And we have these, sorry, my nose itches. We have these deep and moving conversations between ourselves, but that only does so much. So we decided, well, what if we put it online too? What if we just started sharing these conversations that we're already having? And that bled into, well, what if we invited guests on and we're able to get professionals in certain fields to have these conversations with us? And then it bloomed into an entire business where now we are working on becoming consultants for people so that they can come and they can be like, okay, so this is the problem I'm having. What do I do now? Or somebody told me I was an ableist. What does that mean? And how do I stop being an ableist? Or somebody told me I had privilege. What does that mean? We get to have that conversation with these people. So it's still building blocks there, but we're having a lot of fun. And we're working on a workbook that is more than a workbook. And hopefully that'll also help people acknowledge their own privilege and bias and thereby be able to work through it in a way that can benefit society on a larger scale.
Okay. Now, before I touch on that notebook, what is an ableist? I've never heard that before.
An ableist in particular is a person who believes not having a disability is makes them a better human being or have more value or of more worth than somebody who does struggle with a disability of some kind.
Okay. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, there's all sorts of ists, all sorts of isms, and it's hard to keep up sometimes. It's really difficult to keep up. One of the goals of our program is making it so it's less about keeping up with the terminology from day to day or all of the isms from day to day, but more about acknowledging who and where you are at your point and how to make sure that whatever privileges or biases you do have don't harm those around you. Because we all have privilege and bias, and we all have ways that we have no privilege and bias, that we all have I don't know what the word is we used. The point is there are ways that we can be harmed and there are ways that we can harm. And everybody has those intersections. It's really great when you're able to acknowledge that and then utilize your position in life, just your internal and inherent position in life to benefit the world. And it's not that hard.
Huh. It seems like for a sec I got transported into that Rebel Reb podcast because like this is kind of like the tone you guys have there, and I like that. It's like more serious, and personally for me, like it opens my, I guess, perspective a little more because I'm just like in my own little shell. I don't pay too much attention to anything out there, but listening to that podcast, it definitely, you know, widens my range. And like even today, you taught me ableist. I didn't know what that was, and now I'm just like, oh, this is the podcast to be more open.
Right. It's important that you're able to step outside that shell now and again. The very thing that allows you to stay in that shell, to not know words like ableist, is that privilege. And it's not even that it's a bad thing, it's just that it exists. And being
Absolutely.
able to acknowledge that you have the shell and that shell is a privilege will hopefully be enough to inspire you to step outside that shell now and again and say, okay, I see where there is no privilege. How can I help? How can I use my privilege to help others? How can I use my privilege to protect? Or at the very least, how can I make sure my privilege isn't causing harm?
Absolutely. So you did mention a notebook. Is that what is that the book you were telling me you were working on, or is that a different thing?
No. I have a lot of projects.
Oh,
No,
okay.
the workbook, or I don't know if we would call it a notebook or a workbook or a journal or something along those lines. That'll come as a bonus for anybody who signs up for our program. We're going to have a workbook program. You'll get, I think, a electronic copy of the book and an electronic copy of like several stickers and stuff that you can, there's ways to cut them out and use them throughout the book. And we'll build on it from there. There'll be, we already have the private server where you can come and have conversations with other people working through the same stuff. And every month we'll put out a new version of the workbook. And the workbook will basically, it'll have themes based on the month, where we examine ourselves, we examine privilege and bias. It'll have journal prompts, so you can fill in the journals. It'll have art prompts, so you can, if you're an artsy person and you want to go that route more, you can fill it with your art. That's the goal. And it looks like we're going to go e-copy for now so they can print it home,
Okay.
with the option of transforming into a hard copy or a paperback or whatever, because my other business partner and I have a publishing company, so
Oh,
that's a big
okay.
part of that. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Dang. So this notebook, would you consider it like a self-help type thing?
I think so. I think it's more self-help than anything else, but because we're going to stack it with the online community, the talks that we're going to do, they'll be eligible to attend. I believe we're going to do 2 live events a month. Because of all of that, it's not just a self-help book. It's truly a way to examine yourself and decide if the person you are is the person you want to be, um, and then to work with others in this at the same time, because we can have groups during those live sessions. You're naturally going to make connections with people who also think the same way you do or
Of
are in the
course.
same places you are. We're building a community as well, so it's more than self-help. So yes, there's that element, but it's also the community building, which is what I think is so important.
I love that. Building a community of like-minded people. Oh my god. Nikki, honestly, I'm impressed and surprised by what you brought here. You said publishing, a publishing company, and you're building
Yes.
a community, and you have these podcasts. Do you have like $1 million or something? Like, what else are you hiding?
No. I actually I grew up really fucking poor. I have been homeless, living in a truck. I was a 19-year-old mom. This is not because I come from money. I am lucky in that I was able to get student loans and you know, grants and stuff, and that helped me go to college. I met my current husband a few years ago. He and I got serious right after I ended up homeless. So it was weird, but it worked. It worked out. And yeah, he works really, really hard to help take care of the house, not taking care of the house, like household finances and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to do everything else and it works for us. But this stuff is just passion projects until it starts making money, and it hasn't yet, but hopefully it will.
Really? No way. I thought it was like pop and successful type thing.
Not yet. We're working on it. The workbook is hopefully going to be popping. We are just getting started on that aspect of it. We were offering webinars and mastermind classes and stuff like that. And we realized that we weren't having fun with it. And Allie and I really want to be having fun. We really want to enjoy the people we're working with. And a big part of that means that the people we were trying to work with before aren't the type of people we need to be working with. I don't want to spend all day, every day educating everybody about what they're doing wrong. Instead, I'd rather have somebody come in and say, okay, I know I did something wrong. Can we work on what it was? Can we work on why it was? They can even know what they did was wrong, but not why. I have a friend who lives down the street, and she's a wonderful human being, but she often struggles to go from the action of being wrong to the cause, to all of the complexities around what it may be. And I want to be the person who can get into those complexities.
Can you explain on that last part, like the cause of
Okay, so if you offend somebody or hurt somebody and you don't understand why or what the cause of the hurt was, then it might be hard to accept that you had any role in that. And therefore, your apology might sound something like, well, I'm sorry you're hurt, instead of, what did I do that caused that? Instead of, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, even if you don't understand why. Instead, we want to be able to say, oh crap, I caused harm. And then we can figure out why. So you can say, I'm sorry. And then you can figure out what the actual action was that caused harm. When my friend down the street is trying to get from the, oh crap, I caused harm, say sorry, to the why, what did I do part, to understanding all of those, she struggles with that amount of critical thinking. And some people do. Some people, and it's totally normal. Not everybody succeeds rapidly at critical thinking skills. It's fine. That's what I think that's some of what we want to help with. That critical thinking step where we say, okay, I know now that I touched this Black girl's hair and she got very mad at me. So I know that touching her hair was bad, but why is it bad? What is behind that? What can I do differently? How do I handle it in the future? What are the exceptions to the rules? All of those things that most people don't feel comfortable having the conversation about, even if they know where they're supposed to stand.
Okay, so in a way, adding sincerity and awareness to said actions to then make the changes for the future, if that, I guess, situation were to happen again.
Yes, it's definitely yeah, you're yeah. My brain skipped. I'm sorry.
No worries.
But yeah, being able to learn and change from a situation, being able to address a situation, being able to say, oh fuck, I'm sorry, am I allowed to curse? I've been cursing a lot here.
Go ahead. It's it's
Just
a free
bleep
world.
those out.
Um,
But yeah, all of those things are important. And yeah. And the other side of it is, if you struggle with critical thinking, you may struggle um to figure out when somebody who says something is wrong. So just like in any situation, not everybody of color, not everybody who struggles with a disability feels the same. So when somebody tells you something, you need to be able to take that and discern whether or not it applies to the most of situations, half and half of situations, some situations, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And this is a way for people to come and have that conversation as well. You know, when is it okay to I keep going back to touching the Black girl's hair because it's easy, but yeah, when is that okay? You know, is it after we've been dating for 8 months, or is it never okay? That conversation needs to be had, and how to have it, and how to have it when you are getting differing answers, you know. And then it comes back to, what do I do if I don't know what to do? And the answer to that is always listen to the people around you and try to make everybody, like, try to be comfortable. That's the point, you know. Yeah, I think that summarizes it okay.
I like that. And when you mentioned the black girl's hair, well, from my experience, that's never, because they get mad. Well, the people I've interacted with, but this thing you got going, that's actually brilliant. Not everyone thinks on their
Thank
toes
you.
quickly. Not everyone's like processing thoughts, the same way as you or I. Everyone thinks differently, and for you to have this platform for those people to, evaluate themselves and eventually get to that point where they're trying to get to in critical thinking,
Mm-hmm.
that's like that's a brilliant idea, Nikki. Like,
Thank
that's
you. Thank you.
amazing. And you said it's going to be for right now, e-copy, you said?
Right now, actually we're not sure. It depends on how many people are interested. If anybody is interested, they can go over to rebelrev.co and contact us, and see, send us an email and tell us you're interested, and we can either speed it up, or, you know because it's still in development, the first months is still in development, a lot of changes could be made. So if you want to email us and tell us what you want, at contact@rebelrev.co, that's a great way to do it. Or go over to the website and tell us there. Yeah, that part of it is still in production. Right now, we still have, I believe, our mastermind on the website. I think we took down the webinar. So I'm not sure what else is available. We also have sticker sheets. Okay. So you could head over there and look at what those are. Those are some anti-ism sticker sheets.
So I'll definitely put everything below, like Happy Not Crappy, Rebel Rev, and the websites, everything but you mentioned earlier, before we hopped on, you're having a book being published, or is published?
Yeah, it's coming out. We are hoping October, possibly November. It depends on when these last few changes are done. But it's called Pateria the Immortal. I wrote it I started it in November of 2018. It is about a 5,000-year-old woman who is not only immortal, but she has a few powers, and she's going to go help save the world.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it gets really fun. I am not a comedian, so while there are some funny parts, it is not inherently funny. It's not for children.
Oh,
But it is, I really enjoyed it. I enjoy writing it. I enjoy rereading it. So, I mean, I'm biased, but I love it.
honestly, if it's something you're passionate about, share it with the world. Share your passion, and like it's
Yeah.
you. Well, a part of you written down. It's your imagination. But you said it's not for children. Does that take part or stem from the adult themed podcast? Is there anything like that?
There, some of the same things would occur in both.
Okay, we got a
Yeah.
spicy
Yeah.
book. Oh my.
It's just a little bit spicy. A sprinkling of spice.
Okay, so look at you, Nikki. You said you were homeless, living in a truck at 19. Now you got yourself a husband. Look at you, got a man. Oh man, two podcasts. You got this whole thing going with this notebook, webinars, masterminds, and then a book. Oh my goodness,
Yep. Yeah, it's
that's
gonna be great.
that's impressive. Do you have anything else you're looking to venture on? Because you did say you have a lot in the
Whew.
back burner.
Yeah, once we get Pateria out, I'll probably go ahead and dedicate probably November, all of November to the sequel that I'm about halfway through. So that's fun. It is currently untitled. And if I tell you what the working title is, it would give away too much of the previous book.
Yeah, let's not
So we'll
spoil it.
wait. Yeah, we'll wait. So I'll probably get back to work on that. And after we get Pateria out, we'll start our search for some new writers. So that'll be
Okay.
fun. I'll get to help pick them, read their manuscripts. We'll probably participate in PitMat in December, and I'll get to read some manuscripts and help pick the next writer we do for Rainbird Publishing and Multimedia, which is the
Okay.
business up here that does publishing and multimedia.
So it sounds like you're just genuinely having fun, doing some passion works, and like trying to make an impact in the world. And it's just that's really
Absolutely.
cool. So
Oh, and I just joined the Canadian Legion
what's that?
for yeah, well, they're a small organization that helps get help to veterans. And so I'll be, hanging out. I think I joined the auxiliary side of it. So I'll be like setting up at banquets and helping to run celebrations of life and running bingo night concessions, I think is something they said, but it's just being there for the veterans, being there so they have somewhere to go, so they're not home alone and stuff like that. So I'm really excited.
You got a good heart, Nikki. That's so sweet.
Well,
Spending
thank
time.
you.
Oh my god, that made me feel soft in here. Just hearing that.
Oh,
That's
well,
so cute.
you could go join your Legion right now and help a veteran too.
Absolutely. So what I was gonna say is, let me refresh real quick. I'm sorry. Um,
It's okay.
man, I feel like soft now. Just hearing that, it's like you're dedicating time for other people to make sure they're not lonely and whatnot. It's just, oh my god.
I want them to be okay.
Okay, so last thing before I let you go, since you're
Mhm.
all about having fun, trying to impact the world, do all this and that, what's something that you want to give people today? Like advice, tips, maybe for their podcast, maybe, get into this notebook thing, write a book.
Well, if you're trying well, if you want advice about your podcast, pick something you're excited about. If you're not passionate about it, you're not going to want to do it. That's what happened with the first pod I was in. I just, I mean, as much as I like adult themes, I wasn't passionate about writing them. And so it wasn't ever going to go far. And so even though it has thousands and thousands of listens among, I think I have all of 10 episodes, I was like, I don't feel the passion, so why am I going to keep doing it? So that's the big thing when it comes to podcasts. As for life, make sure you make time to play. There's literally nothing better. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's a video game or a tabletop game or literally dressing up and going out and pretending to sword fight with your friends. Make sure you make time to play.
Oh my God, Nikki. That was the most, oh my God. I like going from soft to like feeling a rainbow. Time to play. I love that. That is the best way to like finish this off. Nikki, you got uh, for lack of words, you got a nice heart. I'm gonna say that. Like nice soul. You got that good energy. I 100% recommend everyone listening to this listen to Happy Not Crappy for that type of energy, or for something a little more, timid, more serious, Rebel Rev, which also has those uplifting themes as well. Honestly, Nikki, I'm so glad I got you on. I was like super nervous. I was like, oh man, this and that, like with everyone. But just hearing about you and all that you got going on, it's like, this is what I love doing. And I loved hearing about what you got. And I hope others love what you got going on too. And hopefully they take part in all that you have to offer. But Nikki, I appreciate you so much for coming on. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you.
Appreciate you. And guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one.